Water Polo Wednesday Conference Championship Introduction Week continues.
I love it. Day two.
Day two. We are talking about the
Yeah.
Mid-Atlantic Water Polo Conference.
Yeah.
Wes, we got some slides here, right?
Yeah.
Maybe some talking points
We
first.
always got some slides. And don't forget, everybody, on Saturday, we're going to break down the semifinals once the Friday quarterfinal games are over. The Mid-Atlantic Conference is an interesting one as we march towards conference championships. This is really cool. So the Mid-Atlantic Conference, 1 seed going to Fordham. They're the only team in this conference that gets a bye due to the fact there's 7 teams. So some conferences have 6, some conferences have 7. One conference has 4. It is what it is. Navy, the 2 seed. George Washington, the 3. Bucknell, the 4. It looks like Wagner, the 5, Mount St. Mary's, the 6th, and Mercyhurst, the 7. So Navy taking on Mercyhurst, George Washington taking on Mount St. Mary's, Bucknell taking on Wagner. Fordham obviously has been the dominant East Coast team for the entire season, Clay. We've had a chance to see them live. They did make a West Coast swing where they split 2-2, beating both San Jose State and Long Beach. They lost to Cal and Stanford.
Lost to Cal by 1, and then lost to Stanford by more.
Yeah. And what a team they are. They're not quite the team, in my opinion, that they were last year. I think defensively they've struggled. Now they've made a couple of interesting adjustments as we talk about Fordham. Andras Toth has started to play the 4-5 side, that right side. What does that do? Well, for one, he's a good scorer from anywhere, right? He's a very talented guy. But 2, it really shores up that defense. Because of his length and his height, which is something nobody else on that team really has, he can play that side and into his zone, drop back and field block. Nobody else on that team has quite that length that can do that. Well, when they played Brown, they only gave up 1 goal in the first quarter. I think they were only give up 4 or 5 total in the first half. Probably the best defensive game they've played. So look for Andras to take on that 4-5 side, the right side, I should say, the X1, X2. He'll still score. I'm not sure he'll score at the same clip that he has been because you don't typically get as much scoring from that side unless it's a lefty. That's not to say he can't because we don't want to put any, you can't rule anything out with this guy. So it'll be very interesting to see how they shore up this defense. I know that they feel like they're the favorites to win this conference. But let me say this about Navy. Navy is on the up, and they're recruiting at a very high level. And while they may not get them this year, they're coming with some heat. They are a good team this year. And there's a chance that they beat Fordham in this tournament. I know Fordham doesn't believe that, but I think Navy believes that they can win a game. They can kind of steal one or whatever else. So I've got Navy beating Mercyhurst. I got George Washington beating the Mount. And I got Bucknell beating Wagner, setting up a Navy George Washington and a Fordham Bucknell semifinal day. That'll be very exciting for that. I think Fordham kind of cleans up on Bucknell pretty good. And I think Navy beats George Washington to set up another Navy Fordham final. This is going to be fascinating to me. Navy with Kiefer Black and a number of other players that have really worked very hard. We're going to have them on the show in just a moment after we preview this. Fordham, of course, with Andras Toth, Luca Provenciani, Barnabas Epa, really leading the way. Those 3 guys are I know Luca Silvestre has been a big part of that program. The ceiling and the abilities of Provenciani, Toth, and Epa is just... they're as good as it really gets in college water polo if you're not named Ryder Dodd. And I think that those guys will be an engine for that Fordham team as they have been all year as they drive towards an NC2A berth and likely the 4th seed.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a physical for sure, that matchup, Fordham versus Navy.
Yeah.
But the question is, can Navy perhaps handle the high lane press that Fordham could do so well and get up on counterattacks, or can Navy find a way to break them, get big stops, maybe get them frustrated a little bit, battling internally? Never know what could happen there. And then Fordham, after their West Coast visit, making some adjustments, finding new designs, new strengths in their team. This last week, they're looking to make this just setting an example before getting back to NC2As.
Yeah. And I think Navy's gotten better throughout the year. The first time that Navy played Fordham on October 11th, they lost 14-20. They played them again on November 2nd, so about 3 weeks later, roughly. and they lost 14-16, which means they limited
Mhm.
Fordham to 4 fewer goals, which means their defense is getting better, but their offense hasn't stopped. So they put up 14 goals the last 2 times that they've played,
Mhm.
right? And I got to tell you, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. A team like Navy that's fired up, they're going to be in great shape. If they can limit their mistakes in transition and turnovers and limit the kind of transition and counterattack, as you called out, of Fordham, it's going to be a very good game because they have the ability to score in bunches. Navy does, as does Fordham. But I think for Navy to win this game, it's going to have to be 15-14, 14-13. Holding Fordham to 13 goals doesn't necessarily come from getting a ton of stops, I would say. It comes from not making errors on offense that lead to that counterattack. So that's going to be really interesting to see. I know Kiefer Black is really excited about this. I know, Coach Louis is very excited about this. There's a lot of players here on this Navy team. I know they feel like they can win. And it's going to be really exciting. I don't know that they will. I still have Fordham winning this conference, but it's going to be close, and I think they're going to play up. I think both teams will bring it a little bit. If Fordham overlooks Navy, be very, very careful here because Navy is a team that's talented enough and well coached enough to beat this Fordham team.
Yeah. Yeah. We talking to someone, Wes?
Yep. We got the coach, the head man over at Navy, Louis Nicolau, joining the show in just a moment. And so we'll break down, his thoughts and what it's like to coach at Navy and going into this conference championship here for the MidAtlantic in just a moment, right after this.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow.
Welcome back, everyone. I am joined this morning, whatever time you're watching this, with head coach of Navy, Louis Nicolau, an alumni of Navy, and the sophomore, Quinn Bartlett, out of Newport Beach, California. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting to have Navy on the show. First time you've ever been on our podcast, which we're doing our best to make our way around the country. Specifically wanted to have you on this year because I think you guys have been pretty darn good. You made a nice West Coast trip out here earlier in the year. You played UCLA. You had some fun in San Diego. And now you're back east. You've got to go to Fordham for your conference tournament. But before we talk about that, Quinn, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how the season has gone for you guys? You've been pretty good for the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, you nailed it. We started off going to California, and that was a big start to our season. And we got to play a lot of the West Coast teams are super talented, and that kind of gave us a gouge of, hey, we're this team, and we're younger, but we're pretty good. And that gave us the confidence to bring it back here on the East Coast. And from there, I think we've been consistently getting better at a fast rate. Um, our team is very tight. We're a good brotherhood. We're also deep too, so everyone can go, and the support for each other is unnatural. So I think that's gave us the ability to continue to improve and improve. So overall, our season's been going very well, I would say.
Yeah. And you guys, look, great win record, 20-8, 71.5% win rate, 10-2 in conference. There's only 2 losses coming to Fordham. We'll talk about that in just a second. Quinn, I'm going to stay with you here real quick. You guys did beat Harvard this year. It looks like throughout the season you have continued to get better. What do you attribute that to as you guys, you've won a lot of games in the last couple of months, for crying out loud. You're cleaning house on George Washington, Johns Hopkins, Iona. What do you attribute that to?
First, I'd like to shout out the coaching staff with that question. They're always good, helping, kicking our butt, very hard. But it all comes down to kind of what happens in the locker room and the brotherhood that we've built. Everybody wants the person next to them to succeed, and that really helps us to continue to push each other to grind on the daily. And you mentioned that Harvard win, and that felt awesome, and that gave us even more and more confidence. But we're a team that we're not the best, but we're good, and we want to continue to be better and better. So we have big goals, we have big eyes, and we want to improve.
Yeah.
And we're going to push each other to do it under the guidance of our great coaches.
You're a fearless leader here. All right, so Louis, Coach Nicolau, you're a graduate of Navy. how has Navy changed since you were at Princeton for 20 years before coming back to Navy? So how has Navy changed since you were here as a young lad, a youth?
Yeah. I don't think it's changed a lot. I mean, these kids are still doing the same academic grind with chemistry and calc and physics and double E. And I don't think you really realize how hard these kids are working unless you either went here or you have a kid going through here. It's a different place. So not much has changed. These kids work hard, and
Yeah.
both places I've coached, I've been very lucky to have type A kind of kids. These kids are motivated; they want to do well in everything they do,
Yeah.
and it really makes my job easier.
What's different about being at a service academy like this? And we do thank you for your service. We had Kiefer Black on last year for Veterans Day. We had Tom Leggett from Air Force this year. We're Clayton and myself are very, we've got family members who've been in the service. What's different about coaching at a service school versus like a Princeton and Ivy League?
There's so much that's different. I mean, it just when you drive on the yard at 5:30 in the morning for morning practice, and you see 1,000 midshipmen out there running and working out. Where at Princeton at 9 a.m. it was a ghost town.
Yeah.
It's just a different academic schedule. These guys go from class from 7:30 to 3, and the mission. At the end of the day, yeah, we're there trying to compete, win a championship, but our mission's different. These guys are going to go on and become naval officers. You're trying to instill a kind of a leadership. Quinn talks about the brotherhood. It's about the team. We don't do well unless each other does well. Um, yeah, so I know every school has their kind of logos and everybody's working hard, but for us, it is a different goal in terms of graduation and what they're going to do afterwards. I'm just happy to be a small part of young men and women that want to go and serve our country, and I think it's truly a neat feeling to be around.
Yeah, certainly a neat opportunity, but so different your life. And Quinn, walk us through like what's a day to day to you, man. Like on a Monday, like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, Louis nailed a lot of good points there. It is different. On a day-to-day life, we are not waking up or sleeping in super late like many other colleges and taking a couple classes. We have formation early in the morning practice. If not, our plebes have to go to morning workouts outside of that. But we go to formations. We go to like 4 classes in the day, and then we'll have a practice in between during lunchtime. And that'll be like a lift or in the pool, and then more classes, 2 more classes, and then afternoon practice. And by the time you have afternoon practice, might have some different military brief or just tons of homework you need to complete all in a short period of time and get up the next morning. So we're water polo players, but we're students, but we're also like in training military members at the same time. So we have a ton of stuff on our plate, and that definitely keeps us busy. We have a lot of things we're working for.
Yeah, I mean it's just a very different life, right? Than what I think a lot of people live or do, right? And so we really applaud that. And the structure and rigor certainly isn't easy. You got to be pretty tired by the time that afternoon training comes around.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's very tired.
Having enough, I don't know, Louis, what kind of quality you getting out of these kids with all that prior to?
Just to put that in perspective, we've never done 20-hour practice in a week. We've never come close. I mean, these guys are so tired. I'm a big believer that less is more. These guys need rest, and in those games in October, late September, it's a grind. We got exams, and these guys are run down. For me, it's about being ready to go this weekend. 3 games in November. So, yeah, I mean, you think about other programs and what they're doing. Even at Princeton, we never did 20 hours a week. It's such a different academic load that I didn't want water polo to be a burden. For me, it's about having fun, and the key to having fun is winning. And if you're not in a good place mentally, you can't do it. So sometimes we take an afternoon off. We take a day to give them some rest because these guys are always tired.
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm tired. I'm tired just hearing this. It's a lot. Quinn, how did you find Navy? What inspired you to become a naval officer?
A lot of different things. First of all, I was inspired by family. One of my grandfathers attended the Naval Academy, and another was a naval officer through OCS. But so family one, but also I wanted to play water polo, but the Naval Academy offered something a little different. through the service, but also through the great educational opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And people talk about like how hard it is, but that's like one of the reasons why a lot of people on this team came here is was for the rigor in itself. It's the water polo is going to push you, but as Louis kind of mentioned, is our practices are kind of like the best parts of all of our day, because the rest of it we're like grinding in academics or grinding, studying our rates and learning like what type of helicopter is what or something like that. Um, so we're working, and the academics definitely appeal to me. I'm a nuclear engineer, and it's a lot of hard work, but I'm gonna get a great education, and I'm gonna become a great naval officer while at the same time being a good water polo player.
And some water polo. Going to work on a nuclear submarine is what it sounds like. Um,
Hopefully not.
those don't exist, remember. So yeah, well, very cool, guys. All right, let's jump into kind of this season. You guys have had a very good season, as we talked about, 10-2 in conference. The only team you've lost to thus far this year is Fordham. Your first one you lost 14-20, a market improvement in the second loss, however, only 14-16. So when you shave down four of their goals, that's pretty good. I mean, it's a very high performing, high talented team, kind of what I would call a high flying team. If you remember the LMU basketball teams of the 90s with Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball is kind of what I kin them to. They move quick. They're great in transition. How do you approach this conference tournament? And I'll bring up your conference bracket right now for you so we can kind of walk through this. Give me a second
start
here.
with Mercyhurst.
You start with Mercyhurst. Yeah, that's where I was going. Like, you're not there yet, but look, you guys have kind of, all due respect to Mercyhurst, you've dominated Mercyhurst this year. So, not to jump too far ahead, here's your conference bracket. You got Mercyhurst, then you'll take on the winner of George Washington and Mount St. Mary's, the Mount. I feel good about you guys making the finals versus Fordham. Maybe you don't want to look too far ahead, but if you'll indulge us here, if you do get to the finals, what's the recipe to beat Fordham on your third game in 3 days?
Well, like you said, we're not looking ahead. I mean, GW has the ability, the Mount. I mean, last year we were losing the Mount by 4 in the third quarter of championships. So anything can happen at championships. But yeah, to beat a very good Fordham team, it's all about the pace. They are so good in transition. They're so good on capitalizing on mistakes that we've just been really focusing on minimizing mistakes. I think every coach will say this, regardless of what sport you play.
Sure.
Cut the turnovers out, take care of the ball, make good possessions, and make them beat a 6v6. That's the key. I mean, we can't get out there and get into that LMU run and gun. We can't win a 25 to 22 game. If we get lucky enough to play Fordham on Sunday and we win, it's going to be 10-9, 9-8. It's going to be us slowing the tempo down, slowing the game, controlling the game, and I think they average 7 or 8 more shots per game than the opponent. They're just really good at that counterattack, and we got to find a way to stop it.
Yeah, they are very good in transition, as you said, good in their counterattack. They do a nice job of creating opportunities in transition. They've got a pretty special player named Andras Toth. I'm not sure you can stop him. You might be able to slow him down, but you've got a pretty special guy on your side in Kiefer Black, who's broken just about every record there is at Navy. Talk to me about how you utilize him to set up other people. He's had a lot of assists this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, for us to win, it's not going to be Kiefer. It's going to be the Quinn Bartletts and the other guys stepping up and scoring 2-3 goals. I mean, everybody knows who Kiefer is, and they're going to do their best to take him out and minimize his impact. I think that's why you see more assists. But we need the Billy Zecks and the Aiden Days, and we need our goalie on fire.
Yeah.
It's that second group of guys that are going to win us this championship. If Kiefer scores 8 goals in a game, I don't feel good about it.
Sure.
It's going to be a balanced scoring, and see who that unknown guy that steps up and kind of gets a couple goals that we aren't expecting and helps us overcome and get a win.
That's what they say. They say stars don't win you championships, but they can help get you there.
Yes.
Right? Because they're oftentimes so focused on – Chase Dodd said that to me, actually. That really resonated with me when he and I were chatting about kind of championships and what that looks like. So, Quinn, from your perspective, hey, what is it going to take for you guys to run the table here, go 3-0 in 3 days in this weekend?
It's going to take everything we have. We're definitely going to have to make a run, and we're not looking forward. We're not jumping to that final game. We have 2 stops before we get there. But we plan to be in the water on that Sunday against Fordham, and we want to go all the way, and that's gonna take a lot. Um, X and O's, like Louis said, we're gonna have to control the game a lot against Fordham, and that's minimizing turnovers and cutting out their counterattack and stopping Toth, and these are all gonna be tons of challenges, and we're gonna do that together, and that's gonna require all of us. Um, Especially having a player as great a key for your team is fantastic, and that draws the attention, and it allows many other people to step up. And we have the depth. We've got a couple new um, freshmen and a lot of other people who are ready to come off the bench and step up when the time is right. I'm confident in my teammates that they will be able to step up during that time.
What's it like to be a freshman on your team, Quinn?
It's a lot harder than you would think. These
I,
guys are,
I,
from my own experiences, and anyone will tell you this, being a plebe, going through plebe summer, coming out and having to step up, and especially if you're fulfilling a big role in this team, which a couple of these kids are, it's hard, and there's a lot of pressure on you, and you've tons of stresses, and everyone on the campus is your enemy. Um, and you've got to learn. It's a hard life, and that's why as a brotherhood we come together and we make the water polo was the best thing for me my freshman year,
yeah.
being able to escape the rigors of the academy and play the sport I love with some awesome dudes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they're grinders, and we've got a couple good ones.
I think you nailed it, Wes. This is the first year since I've been back at Navy that we haven't had to rely on a plebe. It isn't Kiefer as a freshman, Quinn as a freshman, that the freshmen get a chance to step in, and if they have a good game, great. But we're not relying on them. Where in the past we had to rely on freshmen, and with what they're going on with Cam and Calc, and like Quinn said, the freshman kind of mindset, it was hard. So this I think has really helped us this year in our depth, is that the freshmen don't feel all that pressure like we've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's always very interesting. The freshman experience everywhere is a little bit different. It's certainly changed over the years, and I know that Navy is just. It's my brother-in-law was part of the Navy, or was for some time, and you hear the stories, and it's remarkable what people are capable of going through, and surviving, and that resiliency that's required. But as you said, Quinn, like it's very much a reprieve for you to come play water polo and have a brotherhood there that is a little bit outside of the normal rigors of what everybody else is going through. And so it's a little bit of a release, if you will, which to me, that's what water polo has always been. I really empathize with that. For me, it's always been about having that kind of escape, if you will, where that's your vacation, and you have to love working hard. You got to love the grind, and to compete. And so that's great to hear, guys. Talk to me about, just generally, like, hey, in your off season, I'm kind of curious what your off season looks like. You say you don't practice 20 hours in a week, Louis. How do you stay fit? How do you stay sharp with your team throughout the whole year?
These kids are different. Back in my Princeton days, we were only allowed 12 practices all spring.
Similar to the Ivy. Yeah, that's the Ivy.
Yeah. Ivy mindset. Again, these kids are motivated. They're in the weight room on their own. They're running. They're doing stuff. Once the season's over, we'll get into our kind of conditioning phase where we're going to be lifting and swimming 8 hours a week. We'll do that up to like late February, maybe mid-February, and then we start our tradition out of season schedule again. And at that point, we're just going to go Monday through Friday. We're not going to do any weekends. We go 2 hours a day practice. We got 4 days of competition in the spring, but we're good about probably 15, 16 hours we could practice in the spring with lifting weights and in the water. But we keep nailing it here. It's about a balance and about coming to the pool and letting your hair down and get a chance to relax. And if polo is hard and it's not worth it, and then there's a problem,
Right.
And I don't believe I can't tell how many guys I have coming in with shoulder problems and hip problems and labrum issues and the overuse these guys are playing in high school and club. That for me, it's just a matter of keeping them healthy and keeping them in a good place mentally and being ready to go come mid-November.
Yeah, well, you guys have certainly gotten better throughout the year. It seems like you're peaking at the right time here. You'll take on Mercyhurst on Friday. And then ideally you win that. You take on George Washington, which you've beaten twice this year, albeit only by 3. So no guarantees, as you said. And then likely facing Fordham if you get there in the final. We want to wish you guys the best of luck. We're very appreciative of you guys taking the time here to chat with us. and just being on the podcast. It's rare for us to get access to the service side of things, right? To Navy, to Air Force, some of the others. So we really appreciate your time. Knowing how busy your days are, certainly it means a lot to us. It's at this point we like to open it up to you. If there's anything you guys want to share, use it as a recruiting tool, a plug, whatever you want to talk about. Quinn, why don't you go first, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, no, but we've been pumped throughout the season, and I've never felt more at place here at the academy, and I've found my home with this team. I'm becoming a better and better person every day. Not just through the academy, but through this water polo experience too. We have tons of great alumni who attribute a lot of their successes to being part of this program and part of the Naval Academy as a whole. A great education, it builds great habits, discipline, while also building a tight knit brotherhood
Yeah.
through our wonderful program that we have. And we're continuing getting brother. My younger brother is coming here next year.
Oh, family
Yeah,
affair.
so
All right.
exactly. But our team is noticeably from even as a sophomore now, I can tell we are on the correct slope and getting better and better, and we are going to be rivaling better teams each year.
Yeah. Had a good chat with assistant coach Jack Finch out in Atherton. He was here for the Elite Eight and watching some of the games, and had high praise for you guys. And so that was really cool just to hear the way he talked about it. And of course, your recruiting class coming in. Louis, what about you? Studio's yours, man. What do you want to share?
I'm very lucky. I tell the story all the time. Back in 88, 87, I couldn't tell you where the Persian Gulf was. For me, it was, I wanted to go to Stanford, didn't get in. My dad went to Stanford. I was going to go to Cal, and Navy was one of those kind of best options, and I came. And now I'm here 30 years later, coaching young men that are choosing service, that they know what's going on in the world. They know what's going on in the Persian Gulf. They know where the Persian Gulf is. And I'm just a small part of that, helping them have a great experience, become great future naval officers. And I just consider myself very fortunate to be part of it. Yeah, and these guys, you see it from Quinn, these guys are great guys, and they make my job easy. They listen, they work hard, and win or lose next weekend, I can be proud to be part of this program.
Well, we're wishing you the best and hopefully for a successful run for you guys. It'll be a competitive conference, which we love to see here. Good luck to both of you guys. Want to thank you again for being on the show, taking time out of your evening to be here with us. So again, and thank you for your service. We know that what you go through on a daily basis is not easy. So good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.